everyone, welcome to the first episode of Uncle Bryan's Storytime Reading. Today, I'm going to read Little Red Riding Hood out of a book called Bedtime Stories by Ronney. Little Red Riding Hood. There was once a sweet and happy little girl whose granny had made her a lovely red cape with a hood. The girl loved it so much that she wore it everywhere she went. Soon, everyone became so used to her wearing it that they called her Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood, said her mother one morning, Granny is not feeling very well. Take her this basket of food and see if you can cheer her up. Little Red Riding Hood loved to visit her granny, so she took the basket of food and set off right away. Go straight to Granny's house and don't talk to any strangers, her mother called after her. I won't, don't worry, sang Little Red Riding Hood as she merrily went on her way. Little Red Riding Hood skipped off through the woods with the basket swinging on her arm. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping in the treetops, and she didn't have a care in the world. After a while, she spotted a wolf peering at her through the trees. Well, hello there, said the wolf in a silky voice. Where are you off to this fine morning? I'm going to visit my granny, replied Little Red Riding Hood, forgetting her mother's warning. She's not feeling well, and I'm taking her this food to make her better. The wolf licked his lips. And where might your dear old granny live? He asked. She lives in a cottage at the other side of the woods, replied Little Red Riding Hood. This path leads right to her door. Is that so? Said the wolf. How very interesting. There were some beautiful flowers growing in the woods, and Little Red Riding Hood stopped to admire them. Why don't you pick a pretty posy for your granny? Suggested the wolf. What a lovely idea, said Little Red Riding Hood, as she stooped down to pick some. She was too busy choosing the prettiest flowers to notice the wolf slinking off down the path. The wolf's tummy rumbled as he trotted through the woods. When at last he reached the end of the path, he saw a little cottage just as Little Red Riding Hood described. The wicked wolf knocked on the door. Come in, my darling, called the grandmother, thinking that it was Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf walked into the cottage. Before the grandmother had a chance to call for help, the wicked creature opened his huge jaws and swallowed her whole. He then climbed into her bed, pulled the covers up under his chin, and waited. Soon, Little Red Riding Hood reached her granny's house with her basket of food and a bunch of wildflowers. Won't Granny be pleased to see me? She thought, as she knocked on the door. Come right in, my darling, replied a strange, croaky voice. Poor Granny, thought Little Red Riding Hood. She doesn't sound well at all. Little Red Riding Hood looked into the kitchen, but her granny wasn't there. She looked in the living room, but Granny wasn't there either. Finally, she went to her granny's bedroom and she gasped in surprise. Why, Granny, exclaimed Little Red Riding Hood, your ears are absolutely enormous. All the better to hear you with, my with, my dear," replied in a rumbling, growling voice. Little Red Riding Hood took a step toward the bed. "And your teeth so pointed," gasped Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to eat you with," snarled a loud, hungry voice. The wolf leaped out of bed and gobbled up Little Red Riding Hood in one big hole. A woodcutter chopping nearby heard some suspicious growling noises coming from inside the little cottage. "I don't like the sound of that," he thought. He took his axe and creeped into his grandmother's house to investigate. He tiptoed into the bedroom and found the wolf fast asleep with his tummy ready to explode. "You wicked old wolf," said the woodcutter. "I'll teach you a lesson." He tipped the stunned wolf upside down and shook him as hard as he could. To his surprise, out fell a very dazed Little Red Riding Hood, followed by her poor old granny. "Thank you for saving us," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Are you okay, Granny?" But Granny was looking at the wolf furiously. "I'll give you a piece of my mind," she said. She chased the wolf out of her bedroom, through the cottage, and out into the woods, with the woodcutter and Little Red Riding Hood following close behind her. The wolf never returned, and Little Red Riding Hood never spoke to strangers ever.